You sleep beside her, but she's no longer yours. She says, "I love you," but her body still hums with the memory of someone else. And you keep telling yourself it was just a bad day, that she needs space, that she's confused. No, she's not confused. She's freshly unfaithful, and even if she doesn't say it, she shows it. It's in every gesture, every silence, every sudden change you've chosen to ignore. Here's the uncomfortable truth. A woman who's just given herself to another man can't fully hide it. Her recent desire betrays her. Her guilt gives her away. Her body, no matter how hard it tries, doesn't know how to lie. But if you don't know how to read those signs, you'll be the last to find out. And worse, you'll be the one carrying the blame for a desire that no longer belongs to you. Today, I'm going to reveal the 7 clearest behaviors that show a wife has just been unfaithful. Not what you suspect, what she can't help but show. And let me warn you now, the last behavior is the most brutal, because once you see it, you won't be able to unsee it. I'm Celia. I didn't come to comfort you. I came to wake you up. And if you dare to watch until the end, you'll understand why she no longer chooses you, even if she still calls you love. Have you ever wondered why her body no longer reaches for you, even though she still sleeps beside you? Why, suddenly, her skin recoils as if yours burns, when it used to be her refuge. We're at the first point of this video, and I won't sugarcoat it. She no longer wants you to touch her, not because she's tired, not because she's lost desire altogether. It's because that desire has been reignited, but elsewhere. And you, who once were her center, are now just the uncomfortable shadow, reminding her that she betrayed her own story. A woman who's just been unfaithful doesn't pull away with drama. She pulls away in silence. She doesn't run. She cools off. She doesn't argue. She sighs. And you, if you're asleep to it, read it as stress, as routine, as just a phase. But it's not a phase. It's a break, a before and after, marked by a moment that didn't involve you. The problem isn't just that she gave herself to someone else. The real problem is that now she has something to compare you to. Her body has felt a different energy. It's been touched by different hands, and no matter how hard she tries, she can't lie to instinct. There is no scene more cruel than a man reaching tenderly for his woman, seeking a connection that once came naturally, and receiving nothing more than a perfunctory touch, an automatic gesture, a maybe tomorrow that never comes. Because in that moment, without a word, something dies. And it's not desire, it's respect. Because when a woman has already lit up for another man, her body still responds, yes, but out of guilt, not out of desire, out of duty to keep up appearances, not out of real connection. And if you don't have the emotional clarity to see it, you'll keep touching her with love, while she endures it with guilt. I remember a man who once told me during a session, "Celia, I went to hug her like always, and it felt like I was hugging a stranger." That wasn't paranoia, that was male intuition, because a woman's body, once it's been intensely touched by someone else, can't fully fake it. It holds a different energy, a different tension, a different kind of avoidance, and that's no coincidence. It's the imprint of another. Because this isn't just about a physical act, it's about the meaning that moment had for her. And if that meaning was strong, if it made her feel alive, desired, like a woman, then you, without even knowing it, became her past. The place she no longer wants to return to, even if she still lives with you. Don't be mistaken. A woman doesn't grow cold overnight without a reason. Her body doesn't reject what it still loves. If she's pulling away now, if she dodges your touch, if she sleeps further away than the bed should allow, it's because you're no longer part of her fire. And if you, as a man, don't pick up on that signal in time, you'll keep begging for warmth from a body that's already heated by someone else. You'll think it's your fault, that you slipped up, that you did something wrong. But no, the only thing you did was fail to see that she already crossed a line, and all that's left now is a distance disguised as exhaustion. This is the first behavior, and the most visceral, because desire doesn't lie, the body doesn't lie. If she no longer wants you to touch her, don't ask why. You already know. Don't beg. Don't plead. Don't try to revive something that died in another bed, because every attempt you make to reconnect only confirms her decision to leave. The only thing you can do now is reclaim your center, your presence, your worth, and stop reaching for where there's no soul left. Because the man who insists becomes invisible, and you weren't born to be ignored, you were born to be desired. When a woman's body no longer responds to yours, when physical distance becomes routine, it doesn't take long for another, deeper, more insidious symptom to appear. Because physical disconnection can be hidden behind excuses, but emotional energy cannot. And we've now reached the second key point in this video. She gets emotional, but not with you. Not with the man who stood by her for years. Not with the one who holds the house, the kids, the shared history together. Suddenly she cries during a show, laughs like a teenager at her phone, gets worked up over trivial things. But with you, she's dry. She's silent. She's absent. Her emotions are still alive, just no longer orbiting around you. This isn't random. It's a psychological defense mechanism. A woman who's been unfaithful, whether emotionally or physically, feels split in two. She can't keep acting like everything's normal. Guilt pushes her to move, but not toward you, not to repair. She moves to distract, to divert herself from her own betrayal, and she does it by becoming intensely emotional, just not with you. She starts talking more with her friends, gets involved in causes, cries over movies, reacts with extreme sensitivity to everything except you. Because if she allows herself to connect with you again, to feel with you again, she's forced to face the mirror of her disloyalty, and that's something she doesn't want to see. In practical psychology, this is called emotional displacement. Instead of confronting the real source of her guilt or inner conflict, she transfers that emotional energy to places where she doesn't have to explain herself. And you, if you're not paying attention, will chalk it up to hormones, to stress, to she's just more sensitive lately. But it's not sensitivity. It's emotional avoidance. It's a subtle way of anesthetizing the relationship with you while releasing all her feelings in spaces where she doesn't feel judged. Stoicism doesn't deny emotion. It organizes it. And this is where many men fall short. Because instead of clearly seeing this new, misdirected emotionality for what it is, they take it personally. They feel guilty for not being the shoulder she cries on, for not being the reason behind her laughter or excitement, and so they try to reconnect through tenderness. They reach out. They ask if she's okay. They offer their support. But what she's rejecting isn't your support. It's the bond. She no longer wants you to be her emotional anchor, because now her emotions are tied to a different axis, to another person, to a story she hasn't told you, but that already lives inside her. And this is where strength is required, because if you lack resolve, you'll fall into the trap of trying to be useful, of becoming her emotional therapist while another man makes her feel like a woman. And that, even if it's never said aloud, is emotional castration. It's losing your place as a man and becoming a container for someone else's guilt. And when that happens, respect disappears, desire disappears. And you're left with a partner who cries over everything, except for the fact that she's stopped loving you. The man who doesn't understand this second behavior becomes emotionally invisible. He believes he's being a good husband by riding the emotional roller coaster with her. But in reality, he's only validating a growing disconnect. And while you're comforting her, someone else is igniting her. While you're listening, someone else is imagining her. While you're asking what she feels, she's already decided it's not about you. So don't get it twisted. A woman who becomes intensely emotional outside the relationship isn't evolving. She's displacing. She's avoiding. And if you don't see it, you'll become an emotional witness to her process, while she buries the bond that once connected you. And if you don't stop it with clarity, it will destroy you more deeply than a direct confession ever could. Because the pain of being emotionally ignored is slower, but also far more lethal. So far, We've talked about a body that no longer desires you and emotions that are no longer shared with you. But there's a third sign that's just as revealing, even though many men confuse it with a sign of reconciliation. Because when a woman begins to transform after being unfaithful, it's not from guilt, it's from self-affirmation. We've reached the third point in this video, and this is where things start to change on the outside. She starts taking care of herself, but not for you. There's nothing more confusing for a man than watching his woman, who for years seemed apathetic, uninspired, careless, suddenly start wearing makeup regularly, changing her underwear, hitting the gym, buying new perfumes and taking selfies. And you, with the naivety you were taught, take it as a hopeful sign. You think she's becoming the woman you once knew, that she's rekindling the spark. But no, you're not the target of this change, because when a woman has just been unfaithful, that fire isn't coming from you. It's coming from what she just experienced. From the validation, the attention, the desire that made her feel alive, seen, touched, in a space where you no longer existed. This behavior isn't random. It has psychological logic. A woman who's been desired by another man and gave in needs to sustain that energy because it gives her a renewed sense of power, of conquest, of control over her attractiveness. But that new glow isn't for you. It's to keep feeding that parallel story, to remain seductive in someone else's eyes, to prolong the fantasy. And while you think she's sprucing up to reconnect with you, she's already projecting her image onto another stage, one where you're no longer part of the cast. So what can you do when this happens? How should you respond to a woman who's now more polished than ever, but no longer reaches for you? The strategy isn't to control her. It's not to ask who she's dressing up for. That only puts you in the role of the insecure, jealous man, and if she wants to, she'll lie to you without blinking. The real strategy is different. Reclaim your masculine energy in silence. Start working on your presence, your strength, your ability to provoke without having to beg. A man who watches calmly is far more intimidating than one who reacts with desperation. Let me give it to you in a simple image. If she starts walking like a model, don't follow her with needy eyes. Walk with the posture of a man who no longer begs, who observes, who's willing to lose a woman, but never willing to lose himself. Because that's the key. She beautifies herself to feel desired. You, if you have dignity, strengthen yourself so you're not replaced without even noticing. And if you are being replaced, don't beg to stay. Let her miss you once you're gone. Don't settle for being admired only when she likes what she sees in the mirror. Before we go on, do this now. Subscribe to the channel and hit that like button. Tell me in the comments which country you're watching from. And if you've ever felt like she started looking better, just when she stopped looking at you, write in the comments, playing with wisdom. Because there are still important lessons to uncover, and the last one will show you whether you still have a place in her life, or if you're just keeping the seat warm for someone else. When a woman starts taking care of her appearance, it's never just out of habit. It's because something inside her has awakened, something that had been asleep for a long time. But while you're wondering who she's getting dressed up for, there's an even more dangerous sign, one that often goes unnoticed, not because it's subtle, but because it hides behind logic, behind routine, behind explanations that sound perfectly normal. We've reached the fourth point in this video, and it's one of the most deceptive. She changes her routines, but doesn't explain them. The most common mistake men make when they begin to suspect something is rationalizing the change. They tell themselves it's good she has new activities, that it's normal she wants time for herself, that she's just in a new phase. They don't see the disruption in rhythm as a warning sign. They see it as personal growth, because that's what they were taught, to respect each other's space, not to be controlling, not to distrust. But that's exactly where the trap lies, in believing that a woman who suddenly changes her habits without clear explanations is doing so for noble reasons, when in reality, many times that change isn't growth, it's cover-up. A woman who's just been unfaithful needs to create new spaces where her parallel story can continue unnoticed. That means changing schedules, inventing commitments, creating needs that didn't exist before. Suddenly, she's going out alone more often. She starts a class, she stays late at work, she visits a friend you've never met, and you, without realizing it, accept each new change as part of a phase. But it's not a phase, it's a strategic reconfiguration. And just because you don't see it doesn't mean it's not happening. The issue isn't just the change itself, it's the lack of coherence. When a woman starts altering her daily patterns without giving you any real context, without sharing the why, without even showing genuine excitement, it's because she's hiding the real reason. And you, instead of confronting her with strength, let it slide. Because you're afraid of making things uncomfortable. Because you want to be respectful. Because you were taught that asking questions is the same as being distrustful. But it's not distrust, it's discernment. It's understanding that the soul of a relationship reveals itself in the everyday. And when the everyday fills up with gaps, vague answers, and hidden agendas, something is rotting beneath the surface. Many men say to me, "Celia, I don't want to be paranoid." And I tell them, paranoia isn't what destroys relationships, it's naivety. Because paranoia sees ghosts, but naivety lets them in without question. And at this stage, when she's already been unfaithful or is about to do it again, a woman doesn't even need to lie. All she has to do is disguise the truth as routine. And if you don't have the strength to see past her soft excuses, you'll become the passive spectator of a movie where you're no longer the main character. The consequence of this mistake is devastating, because by the time you realize what's happening, it'll be too late. She'll have built the perfect system where everything makes sense. Accept your place in it. You'll feel out of place in your own home, like a visitor who's no longer informed of anything. And the worst part, you'll accept it, because the change was gradual, because it numbed you, because when feminine manipulation is subtle, it doesn't feel like an attack, it feels like progress. And that's the most dangerous thing of all, that you might end up applauding the very process that's pushing you out. So stop justifying changes that come without explanation. This isn't about control, it's about awareness. And if you notice a pattern that doesn't align with what you know about her, if you see that her enthusiasm doesn't include you, that her new activities are never shared with you, that her time is full, but not with you, don't stay quiet. Don't react out of fear. Act with clarity. Because a woman who reorganizes her life without including you is already doing so with someone else, even if she doesn't say it, even if she swears everything is fine, even if she says she just needs space. And if you don't see it now, you'll end up as the man who didn't read the signs until he lost the woman, the truth, and himself. After she starts changing her routines without telling you anything, a far more destructive phase begins. And it's not destructive because of what she does, but because of what she makes you feel. Because now, you're not just physically disconnected. You're not just shut out of her emotional energy. You're not just excluded from her new habits. Now, you're the one to blame. We've reached the 5th point in this video, and it's when she blames you for her coldness. This is one of the oldest and most effective plays in the female mind once she's crossed the line of fidelity, because she doesn't want to be seen as the betrayer. She wants to be understood as the victim. So she flips the narrative. She throws lines at you like, "You've changed too. You're not the same anymore. You don't listen like you used to. You don't make me feel alive." And you, out of love, out of weakness, or out of guilt, believe her. You start doubting yourself, reviewing your mistakes, thinking maybe you did make her feel alone. Maybe you were too cold, too busy, too distant. And just like that, without realizing it, you become the emotional author of a script she's secretly been writing with another man in the lead role. This mechanism plants itself like a poisonous seed because it starts growing in your mind and distorts your perception. You stop seeing clearly, and everything you do to reconnect with her, cooking for her, texting her, reaching out, doesn't come from desire anymore. It comes from guilt. You want to prove you're present, that you can change, that you're capable of winning her back. But you're not winning her back. You're losing yourself, because the man who acts from guilt no longer leads. He obeys. And brother, At that point, you're no longer her partner. You've become her emotional servant. And the cruelest part? She knows it, maybe not consciously, but she senses it. She senses that you're on the defensive, that you're walking on eggshells, that you're waiting for her approval, that you no longer respond like a man, but like a boy afraid of being punished. And when a woman picks up on that, she loses whatever respect she had left, because a woman can forgive a mistake, but she cannot desire a man who no longer stands firm in himself. So how do you reverse this? Not with explanations, not with begging, not with flowers. You reverse it at the root, from your internal posture, from the firm decision to stop being blamed for what you didn't do, because her coldness is not yours to carry. It's the reflection of a betrayal she hasn't owned, and you cannot keep paying with your dignity for a truth she's too afraid to confess. The mindset you need is crystal clear. I will not carry guilt that doesn't belong to me. Say that to yourself in the mirror every morning. That's not a mantra, it's a line of defense. Because the man who stands in his truth, even if it hurts, even if he loses, even if he ends up alone, is the only one who can be respected again. Not by her, by himself. So stop apologizing for her distance. Stop adjusting to her emptiness. Stop assuming her lack of desire is your failure. Because if you don't cut that pattern now, you'll end up being the man who blamed himself for being betrayed, who said sorry for not being enough, while she gave herself to someone else without a hint of remorse. And at that point, you don't just lose the relationship, you lose your essence. And a man without essence can't hold himself up or hold on to anything. If you keep carrying guilt that isn't yours, if you keep adapting to her coldness in the hope she'll want you again, you'll end up doing something even worse. You'll become her emotional caretaker, her emotional brother, her emotional pillow. And from there, my friend, there's no turning back. Because a woman who blames you for her lack of desire isn't coming back to you. She's just keeping you around for support, but not as a man. And that brings us to the sixth point in this video, one many would rather not face, but it defines everything. She gives you affection without desire. Picture this scene. You're in bed, she turns toward you, gives you a soft kiss, strokes your back. But there's no tension, no fire, no spark. It's a learned gesture, not real intimacy. And you, who haven't felt that raw desire, that deep gaze, in months, cling to that touch like it's a sign. But it's not. It's the last thread of a bond that already snapped from within. Because when a woman stops desiring you, what remains is affection. And affection without desire is pity dressed as love. Do you know what's crueler than outright rejection? Affection that doesn't arouse, a hug that doesn't invite, a kiss that doesn't ignite, because it confuses you. It makes you believe there's still something there, but there isn't. Just guilt, just routine, just the need not to feel like a bad person for what she's already done, or what she's about to do. And you, because you're hurt, because you're still hopeful, because you refuse to face the truth, take it as a sign of love. But it's not love. It's an emotional goodbye. And the most tragic part? She does it so you won't hate her when she finally leaves. This pattern is the most perverse of all, because it strips you of your manhood. It turns you into something neutral. You're no longer a threat, no longer an option. You're just a safe emotional space while someone else lights up her deepest places. And if you don't end it, you'll spend months, maybe years, receiving affection without desire, feeling like you're still in a relationship, when in reality, you're just the assurance she won't feel alone. And that's not love. It's emotional dependency in disguise. It's the perfect cage. No visible bars, but no way out. And the worst part is, everyone around you will applaud it. They'll say you're understanding, mature, that it's beautiful how you still love each other, even though the passion is gone. But that's not mature love. It's emotional anesthesia. It's a dead relationship kept on life support out of fear of letting go. And while everyone celebrates your devotion, you're draining, you're fading, you're betraying yourself. And do you know how to get out of that place? With one question, asked in silence, facing the mirror. Do I want to be loved, or do I want to be desired? because you can't have both when she's already placed her desire somewhere else. And if you choose to stay, holding a body that no longer responds to yours, then you're not choosing love. You're choosing resignation. And resignation kills you slowly, gently, but it kills you all the same. If you accept her affection without desire, if you settle for being her lukewarm companion instead of her man, then you're no longer waiting for her to change. You're agreeing to be slowly shut down in pieces. But there's one final sign, one that isn't always spoken out loud, but is felt in every glance. We've reached the 7th and cruelest point of this video. She looks at you like you're no longer her man. That look, you know it, because it wasn't always like this. She used to look at you with admiration, with hunger, with desire. But now, she looks at you the way someone looks at a brother, a housemate, an emotional provider. The sparkle is gone, the playfulness is gone, the tension is gone. And that's not a coincidence, because when a woman has just been unfaithful, her mind is divided, and she needs to justify the betrayal somehow. The easiest way is to convince her own subconscious that you're no longer her man. Because if she sees you as someone else, as just another person, then she doesn't have to feel guilty for giving her desire to someone else. That's the moment when everything shifts. You're no longer arguing about schedules, emotions, or routines. You're fighting a mental image, and that, brother, can't be fixed with flowers or speeches. When a woman stops seeing you as her man, she no longer touches you the same, no longer listens the same, no longer fears losing you. And a woman who doesn't fear losing you no longer respects you. And a woman who doesn't respect you can sleep with another man and rest easy afterward. This is the point where many men break, where they make one last attempt, where they emotionally drop to their knees hoping she'll choose them again, but all they do is lose her for good. Because a woman doesn't respond to another's pain. She responds to absence. She responds to limits. She responds when she sees the man in front of her won't beg. He'll walk away because he still respects himself. Look at yourself. Think about everything you've discovered in this video. The signs, the behaviors, the shifts. Don't tell me you didn't see it before. You felt it. But you didn't want to accept it, not because you're naive, but because you were loyal. And that's your strength, but it's also your weakness, if you don't match it with clarity. Now you know, and you know you can't force her to see you with desire again. You can't demand respect. Respect is commanded through presence, through boundaries, through firm silence, through a dignified exit. If she no longer sees you as her man, you have two choices: stay and keep fading, or stand up, hold your ground, and become once again the man who refuses to be diminished. Not for love, not for history, not for comfort. Because a woman might choose you again, but only if you choose yourself first. And if she doesn't, at the very least, when she walks away, make sure she doesn't take your dignity with her, because losing her will hurt, but losing yourself will destroy you. If you've made it this far, you're not like most, because most men click away the moment the truth starts to hurt. But you stayed. You listened. You looked straight at what so many others prefer to deny. And now you know you're not losing a woman. You're reclaiming your right to be respected. Because a wife who's just been unfaithful doesn't confess. She reveals herself through gestures, through avoidance, through soft words laced with betrayal. And if you choose not to see it, you're not a victim. You're a participant. I'm not saying this to humiliate you. I'm saying it to wake you up. Because what you do with this information will define your future. You can keep justifying her, adapting, denying what's right in front of you. Or you can stand up, look in the mirror, and decide that your dignity is non-negotiable, that your desire will not be begged for, that your masculine energy will not be tamed by anyone. That decision is yours alone. No one else can make it for you. Leave a comment below with a short phrase that captures your awakening. It's not worth it anymore. And let me know which country you're watching from, because it doesn't matter if you live in the US, in the UK, in Australia, or any corner of the world. A man who wakes up is the same everywhere. I'm Celia, psychologist, therapist, a woman who's spent over 20 years listening to what wives won't say to their husbands. This channel, House of Wisdom, doesn't exist to comfort you. It exists so you can start respecting yourself again, so you can understand how a woman thinks when she's no longer choosing you but won't leave either, so you can reclaim your place, not from anger, from clarity. Subscribe now, not to follow me, but to follow your own process. This is a space for men who refuse to be emotional pets, for those who are ready to stop being used and start being chosen. Share this video with that friend who's still stuck, still in denial, who needs a wake-up call more than advice. And don't go just yet, the conversation is just beginning. Watch one of the 2 videos now appearing on your screen. Choose the one that makes you the most uncomfortable, because right there, in that discomfort, is exactly what you need to hear.